is Isaiah, also known as Zay Knives. Today I'm going to be forging a Viking style axe. I made a few axes in the past, but today I want to forge an actually nice one. So let's see what we can do. Alright, so while the fire is getting started, I wanted to explain what we're starting off with steel. I'm using about 3 1/4 inches of 1 inch squared mild steel bar. Now, the first process that I'm going to do is actually turn this 1 inch square into hopefully about 1 1/4 inch by 3/4 of an inch. So a more rectangle piece to work from. Alright, so the first step that I'm going to do here is if I just forged it out with the flat of the hammer, I wouldn't get the width that I wanted, I'd get more length. So what I'm doing instead is I'm using a fullering tool going along the length of the bar, and I'm going to try and smash in as much width as I can. A lot closer to the width that we want. Alright, so I wanted to forge the 1 inch square down to 3/4 inches, and it looks like we're right on target for where we're going for. So we're going to mark halfway, right in the middle there. So we're going to mark where we're going to punch our hole. Alright, so now I'm going to start punching the hole in. Very important that we keep this as straight as possible. Check it after every blow. So the hole is much deeper now, so now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to mark this side so we can see there's a little piece of metal that's being driven back through. Oops. There we go, it's up. So I'm going to take my pulling tool to make a mark right there. Well, not as hot as I would have liked it, but let's work with it. So what I'm going to do now is open that hole back up. Alright, so now I'm going to start drifting the hole. Now what this is going to do, this is going to make the hole substantially larger. So I'm cross beaming it out to thin it down. See, it's so thin right now, I've already lost my forging heat. Alright, so now that we've worked the edge down just a little bit, I'm going to take it and with a chisel, we're going to go over to the vise and we're going to cut a groove into it to put our high carbon steel bit. So for the high carbon steel bit, I'm going to be using 3/16 1095. 1095 is a little too hard for the application, but it's what I got, so that's what we're going to use. Alright, so the 1095 bit it's too wide, so we need to work it down. So I'm going to take a moment and clean the high carbon steel bit up. This will allow hopefully a better forge weld the high carbon onto the mild steel. This is what the bit looks like after I've grinded it. So this is the bare metal. Hopefully this will give us a better weld. Alright, so since I didn't chisel them evenly, I need to grind them to fit. We're almost up to heat. We're getting ready to forge weld the high carbon steel bit onto the mild steel. There we go. That sounded like it took. So that's good. That's very good. So right now I'm cross beating the steel to add width. This also is where we're going to get our beard. With the bearded axe. So at this point, we're all done forging. So this is what the axe looks straight off the hammer and anvil, and I'm really proud of it. I think it came out really good. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this soapstone and we're gonna draw on the design we want to do, what we want to grind the shape of the axe to be. Now I've turned on the gas forge because what we're doing is we're normalizing the steel. So what this is doing, this is refining the grain in the steel, making it finer. Since we got the steel, the carbon steel so hot, it made the grain much larger. So this is preparing it to be heat treated. What this is also doing is this is releasing all that stress built up in the forging on that carbon steel bit. Because this will make it so there's less of a chance of cracking or warping during the heat treat. Okay, so at this point we're getting really close to the hardening temperature. I'm just taking it easy, checking it to see the temperature often. And once I get to that temperature, I'm going to plunge it into the oil. Here we go, going for the quench. Sweet! Alright, so I'm checking with this metal file here. See, if the metal file skates off the surface of the steel rather than digging into it and removing metal, that means we have a hardened piece of steel. And it's doing exactly what we wanted. Skating right off the surface. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to temper the axe. So we've hardened the blade, and if we don't temper it, then the blade will be too hard. It could run, it could chip, it could crack, and it could break. So what this is going to do is this is going to soften the steel just a little bit so it keeps the strong edge, but it doesn't break. So we have the blade tempered. I overheated the center just a little bit. I creeped up the blue a little bit too far on the edge. But actually on the very, very edge, it's actually straw purple, which isn't wrong for a cutting tool like this. So I botched the temper. Just got a little bit too hot, but it has those nice straw colors in it. So I call it a decent temper for a good axe. The blade polish at 220 grit right where I want it. I'm going to move over to the Scotch-Brite belt, and this is going to make the blade shiny and nice. Very strong wood. Alright, now we have the axe seated on the wood. So now we're going to go ahead and start carving the wood. Alright, so I finished carving the handle. So now I'm going to go up to the 120 grit belt, and then we'll just go on to hand sanding. Alright, so now that we have polished the handle up to 120 grit on the belt, we're going to go through now and make a saw mark for our wedge that we're going to drive into here to permanently lock the handle onto the axe. Alright, so we're going to try and put the wedge in here. Try being the key word. There we go. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do before the axe is completely done is I'm going to take some boiled linseed oil, which is a wood finish, and I'm just going to coat the handle with it, and that'll really bring out the wood and make it real pretty. So it's a huge difference, the unfinished wood compared to the finished wood. It's very pretty. This is a piece of oak that we were using, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned it. Alright, let's do some cutting tests. I think this is a little board of pine I got laying around. Yo, this is deadly. Wow. Let's put a point on it. I'm barely using any force. Alright, for real this time. Oh man. Nice. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This has been Forging a Viking style axe. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the bell to get notifications when I post a video. If you're interested in purchasing this axe or any of my other creations, you can go to my website, zayknives.com. Also follow me on social media, Instagram @zayknives, Facebook Zayknives.